तूफान के बाद वह पीछे क्या क्या छोड़ जाता है, यह तो आंकलन करने के बाद ही पता चलता है। आज कोरोना की दूसरी लहर बीत चली है और लाशों के ढेर के पीछे गम का पहाड़ टूट पड़ा है। कुछ ने अपनों को खोया तो कुछ ने पहचान वालों को, पर हर मौत सबको अवाक छोड़ गई। अब जरूरत है इस मुसीबत के पहाड़ के पीछे और क्या बर्बादी छुपी है, उसे ढूंढने, समझने और सुलझाने की। इसी श्रृंखला में आंखों पर हुए हमले की जानकारी देने आ रहे हैं डॉक्टर अजय अग्रवाल, सीनियर आई सर्जन।
Thank you, Dr. Divakar, for inviting me on this talk show.
और समस्या को समझने के लिए सवाल उठा रहे हैं डॉक्टर एन के गुप्ता। आप डीटीसी से अभी रिटायर हुए हैं। सो ओवर टू यू, Dr. N. K. Gupta.
Thank you, Dr. Divakar. Welcome, Dr. Agarwal. We have some queries regarding the eye manifestations of the COVID.
Okay.
And we'll ask some questions about that. The first question come up is, what are the eye manifestations of the COVID-19?
Actually, the exclusive presentation of COVID in eye is very rare. Like only the eye involvement is very rare and rest of the symptoms are absent. It's very rare. Like exclusive conjunctivitis in COVID patient is seen in less than 0.1% of the patients. But yes, along with the other symptoms, like patient is having fever, sore throat, coughing, then he can have a conjunctival congestion and he can have a frank conjunctivitis also. So it's very common to have conjunctivitis along with other symptoms of the COVID, but exclusive COVID, exclusive conjunctivitis on which you can diagnose that he is COVID, it's very rare.
Can we diagnose viral COVID conjunctivitis with the bacterial or the dry eyes or allergic type of conjunctivitis?
Yeah, absolutely. There are normally what we seen is normally there are three types of the conjunctivitis. One is allergic. The hallmark of the allergic conjunctivitis is itching. Itching is very severe. In comparison to the symptoms, the itching is very severe. In bacterial conjunctivitis, generally there is a lot of thick discharge, sticky discharge. Okay. In viral conjunctivitis, generally it's very symptomatic. Lots of irritation, lots of redness, but lots of watering is there. The eye is very sensitive to the light, photophobic, which is normally not seen in the bacterial conjunctivitis. In allergic, it is the itching. And then there are some clinical signs also, like follicles and the papillae. So these are exclusively for the eye specialist only, ophthalmologist, which normally see on the slit lamp. There are papillae, there are follicles, on the basis of which they will differentiate clinically whether it's bacterial or it's viral or it's allergic. And because just now the peak was there in April, so we will advise every patient of conjunctivitis also to get the COVID test done because it's in the air.
Related to this only, can COVID be infected through eyes?
Yes. It's very well known. That's why you see everybody is wearing the shield, not only the mask. All those healthcare workers who are working in ICU, who are dealing with the patient directly, COVID patient directly, you must have seen they are wearing the goggles also and they are wearing the shields also because of the transmission through the eyes. If the secretions goes into the eye, then it might the doctor might get infected or the healthcare worker might get infected. So it can very well transmit through the eye. But healthcare workers as such, they are predisposed to the heavy loads. So that is why they are advised to cover the eyes also, not the general public.
How has COVID affected your routine practice?
Like ophthalmic practice, as I told you, it's a very, it's a kind of an elective practice. It's a kind of a routine practice where there are minimal emergencies. So patient, they can schedule their visits. They can avoid the ophthalmologist visits for 2 months, 3 months altogether. And most of the ophthalmic patients, either they are children or they are elderly. Children, they are basically big, those who wear glasses. They come to the ophthalmologist for regular eye checkup. And elderly patients, eye disease. And these age groups, they are more vulnerable to COVID. So particularly these two groups, they are not coming out and they are not coming to the ophthalmic practice also. The ophthalmic practice is very down. So normally we see the elderly patient. Cataract vagara, they are getting mature. And once they are getting mature, then the surgery as such, it becomes difficult to do. Normally nowadays we do the phacoemulsification or the laser surgery, which is very easy in immature cataract and it becomes difficult in mature cataract. Then they might rupture also. Then in the emergency, they might present as a lens-induced glaucoma. The most severely patients are of glaucoma actually and the diabetics. In glaucoma, nobody knows what the damage is progressing or not until they pay a scheduled visit to the doctor. So all those glaucoma patients, they are going unmonitored and there might be a progress of the disease which is not being noticed just now. And suddenly after the COVID, there will be surge in the surgeries and all these problems. And the second thing which we are seeing in the children nowadays, they are, because of the COVID, because of the lockdown, they are working excessively on their gadgets. And this is leading to various eyes, computer vision syndrome, lots of irritation, glare, and they might, if you work excessively on gadgets, then there might be increase in the minus number also. There are some studies which say that if you are working excessively, your number may increase. So this is a byproduct of the COVID.
In case of emergencies, how you handle these emergencies in, say, glaucoma, sudden loss of eye vision, how you are dealing with this emergencies in the COVID?
We are taking basically precautions personally also, as well as towards the patients also. Like in the OT, normally we are not scheduling more surgeries. We are doing 1 or 2 surgeries in a day. And after each surgery, we are sterilizing our equipment, or we are keeping 2-3 sets of equipments for 2-3 patients. So we are not clubbing surgeries together like non-COVID times. So we are doing less surgeries. As such, less surgeries are coming. There is a gap between the 2 surgeries, then we sterilize the entire thing, then we change the entire instrument. Entire instrument is being changed between the 2 patients, and all other precautions like any other hospitals, wearing PPE kit and monitoring the patients, and everything is there.
And you are doing RT-PCR also before the surgery?
Yes, we are getting, during peak times, we get the RT-PCR done. Like in between, as there was a last peak in October last year, that time we were getting the PCR done, RT-PCR done. Then we dropped it from our schedule. And from March onward, we are getting it again. Till date, black fungus is a new entity, basically more of a ENT problem than an eye problem, because it enters through the nose or the mouth. So initially starts in the nasal cavity and the sinuses, and subsequently invade the orbit. In the eye, it enters through the orbit, and from the orbit, it goes to the brain. From the nasal cavity also, it can, through cribriform plate, can directly go into the brain. So normally they are presenting with redness, watering, pain. Then there is proptosis, bulging of the eye. In some cases, there may be drooping of the eyelid. There might be diplopia because of the limitation of the movements, and the loss of vision also in severe cases. And most of the time, they are managed in the multi-specialty hospital only, because it's a multidisciplinary thing to be managed by ENT, neuro, eye, along with microbiologist, along with radiologist. So all these 5 doctors should be there. It is not in the domain of a normal individual eye practitioner. Actually, we can only refer them. Once we diagnose them, we can refer them.
So how to diagnose it?
Through the eye, it cannot be diagnosed, let me tell you. Until there are black patches. There are black patches over the lid. Normally, it is diagnosed by a ENT surgeon through a simple staining, KOH stain. If you take out, you do a swab and do the KOH staining, it is diagnosed. It's very easy to diagnose actually, because it takes 1 hour only to do KOH stain. So normally it is diagnosed by ENT specialist.
Other parts of the eyes involved in COVID, iodocyclitis or retinitis?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Normally, during the acute phase, we are seeing only the conjunctivitis. But after the COVID period, after the COVID has settled down, after the COVID has ended, what we have seen, because of the thromboembolic phenomena. Now, what we are coming is a new thing, is the thromboembolic phenomena, which are being seen even after 15 days, 20 days of the COVID, or 1 month after the COVID. So in the eye, we can see the retinal vein occlusion, retinal artery occlusion. We are seeing, because of the brain involvement, we are seeing the paralytic squints also. In some cases, we have seen the intracranial hypertension also.
How is the patient present to you?
Normally, if the patient is of retinal vein occlusion or retinal artery occlusion, he will present immediately with the loss of vision. If there is muscle involvement, then double vision. If there is optic nerve involvement, then there will also be diminution of vision or blurring of vision because of the optic disc swelling.
It says lens is not involved in this. Lens is spared. What is your experience about that?
Lens is not involved. Only the lens gets involved if there is a high blood sugar because of the steroid treatment. Not directly. Indirectly, sometimes we have seen 500, 600 sugar also, blood sugar also. So suddenly there is either there is a change in the glass number or there is onset of the cataract or glaucoma.
As you have said that nowadays hardly any surgeries. So are there any chances of damage to your equipment due to these factors, the surgical instruments?
Absolutely personal loss. Actually, it's not any loss to the patient. First thing is the monetary loss. We are sitting idle actually, and lots of equipments are very expensive equipment which have been taken on the loan, and there are EMIs also, AMCs also, which are getting expired and the instrument is not being used. So all the money is going down the drain. Second thing is if you see all the eye equipments, they are basically mirror and the lenses only most of the time. So if they are not in use, then the humidity kills them actually. There's lots of dust settlement and sometimes there is fungus growth also because they are not being used. If they are in use, just like any other electrical gadget, they remain perfect. But if they are not in use, then that, because the settlement of the dust, because the settlement of the humidity, because of the growth of the fungus, they gets damaged permanently. All the electrical wirings, they can damage permanently actually. So we are losing on that front also, because our instruments are being damaged, and we are losing on the AMC and the EMI part also. This AMC and EMI must be common to so many other branches also. But our equipment basically primarily consisting of lenses and mirrors, so they are getting damaged because of dust and humidity.
Thank you, Dr. Agarwal.
It's my pleasure, sir.